What say you, NFL? Here are Super Bowl-less teams with the best chance to do it in 2025. The Bills lead the way with a 10% chance per FPI. That's only behind the Eagles and the Chiefs. We got more on Buffalo in a bit, but we have 5 would-be first-timers in the top 15 to hoist the Lombardi Trophy in Santa Clara at Super Bowl 60. We now go on trend, looking at teams looking for their first title, starting with the Lions. Detroit's offense was frankly special last season. Led the league in points per game, ranked second only to the Ravens in yards per game and efficiency. The result was a franchise record 15 wins. Mina Kimes, what needs to happen for the Lions to reach a Super Bowl for the first time, but win the thing?
I think the defense needs to be healthy, and they were the unhealthiest defense in football last year, according to FTN Fantasy's adjusted games lost. And I think that return to health, coupled with some of the talent that they added, will help mitigate the offense perhaps taking a little bit of a step back. You get back Aiden Hutchinson, who is one of the best pass rushers in football. You added to the secondary, and you added a run stuffer in the first round of the NFL draft. I really like the direction this defense is going in, and I think they're going to be top 6 or 7 next year.
The story about the Lions, it's simple. Everybody thinks they're not going to be as good because A, they slipped up last year and got one and done. And B, they lost both their coordinators, and it's going to be on Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell's, everybody thinks he's a great coach for good reason. But so now he's not going to have a bench, and he won't put his stamp on the team because the coordinators will be less than. And plus, we also saw what happened to the last time a championship quality team lost both coordinators. The Eagles took a step back. So everybody's putting that all together and say the Lions are beatable. And he's like, we've got the best roster we've ever had since I've been here. Aiden Hutchinson's coming back. They're not going to have, knock on wood, 90 million people on injured reserve. And let's go. And they're in Green Bay to start the season. Good Lord, what a game that is for week number 1. Wow. And that's the Lions story. Because they're better. Jamison Williams is going to be that much better. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be that much better. The offensive line is one of the best in the league. Jared Goff was an MVP candidate last year. The defense is healthier. It's just, again, they didn't get it done last year.
Yep.
And they got the 1 seed in Detroit. Everyone had to go through Ford Field, and they got one and done by the Washington Commanders. Jaden Daniels walked into that building with a fresh roster and a great season and took them right out.
What's your reaction to Detroit being put in this very primetime spot right out of the gate?
Yeah, look, I'm not shocked, and I'll tell you why. Number one, remember how the season ended. Remember how they just pushed Green Bay all over the place up there in Lambeau Field to end the season. That is not a fluke. This is a team that finished 8-2 last year. This is a team that defensively started to hit its stride in the last quarter to the last third of the season, and a team that right now had Jared Goff playing as though Sean McVay had made a mistake. Okay, because this team was as explosive as any in the NFL. I believe they've got even more explosive now with the addition of Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama in the first round. Defensively, they've got some ballers. Now, look, Jack Campbell, you can, debate whether or not he should have went in the first round as a off-ball middle linebacker, but when you see this 6'5", 245, 250-pounder, as we saw at the Music City Bowl with him, he's playing with Iowa, you will be impressed. They draft Brian Branch out of Alabama in the second round, who's one of the best safeties in all of college football last year. This team has ballers. That's what they have. They have football players, and they're coached by an ex-football player in Dan Campbell, who, from all accounts that I have heard, has this team right now believing in every single thing he says. He's going to have the last laugh in all of this. When people were laughing about him in his initial press conference, Dan Campbell is building a monster in Detroit, a legit monster. Forget what you think about the Detroit Lions. And when they go there into Arrowhead, I can promise you this. Kansas City will be in for a fight now because this team is playing good defense. They have got explosive offense, and they believe they can go anywhere and win against anybody. They do not believe they're the same old Detroit Lions, man. And that's why I believe they're being put on prime time, and they'll be on prime time a lot more when people start seeing the kind of damage they're gonna inflict on other teams.
What do we say all the time, especially in football? If there's belief in what's being built, you can really do anything. They've got the belief in the talent. Now, Lions, one of the trendy teams coming into this.
Buckle up, because the Detroit Lions are no longer the laughingstock of the NFL. They're the predators ready to tear apart the league. Imagine this. A team that ended last season with a brutal 8-2 finish, shoving the Green Bay Packers around like ragdolls in the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. That wasn't luck. That was raw dominance. They racked up a franchise, record 15 wins, leading the entire league in points per game at a scorching 32-4, and ranking second in yards per game behind only the Ravens. But oh, the drama. They snatched the number 1 seed, turned Ford Field into a fortress, and then collapse. One and done in the playoffs, blown out by Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders in a humiliating exit that left fans heartbroken and doubters smirking. Yet here they are, thrust into the primetime spotlight right out of the gate against the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Why? Because this isn't the same old Lions. This is a monster awakening, and the NFL knows it. Forget the mockery. Dan Campbell's got his squad believing they're unstoppable, and with Super Bowl odds now at plus 1000, tying them as favorites just behind the Eagles and Chiefs, the hype is real. But can they silence the skeptics who say they're overhyped frauds destined to crumble again? But what fueled this explosive turnaround? Let's dive into the offensive juggernaut that's got defenses trembling and the bold additions, making them even deadlier. Oh, the sheer thrill of watching this Lions offense ignite like a wildfire. It's pure adrenaline. Last year, they weren't just good, they were elite, torching opponents with efficiency that ranked them among the NFL's best. Jared Goff, playing like an MVP candidate, slinging passes with the precision of a surgeon, proving Sean McVay's trade was the blunder of the decade. The offensive line, one of the league's finest, a wall of iron protecting their stars. And now, they've amplified the chaos with Jahmyr Gibbs, the Alabama speed demon drafted in the first round, adding lightning to an already thunderous attack. Jameson Williams is primed to explode, evolving into a nightmare for cornerbacks. But here's the controversy. Critics whine that losing both coordinators means regression, drawing parallels to the Eagles' post-Super Bowl stumble last year. Nonsense. This roster is deeper, hungrier, and built to shatter records. With Gibbs' rookie flashes of 1,261 all-purpose yards and 10 touchdowns, they're not stepping back. They're leaping forward into oblivion for anyone in their path. The drama? If they falter, it'll be a catastrophic implosion. But the belief in Dan Campbell's vision, it's electric, unbreakable. Yet, no championship run survives on offense alone. The real game changer? A defense reborn from last year's injury-ravaged nightmare, spearheaded by a beast who's back and better than ever. Picture the horror. Aiden Hutchinson, the Lions' ferocious edge rusher, crumpling to the turf mid-season with a devastating leg injury against the Cowboys, a moment that derailed Detroit's dreams and left their defense in shambles. They were the unhealthiest unit in football, per foot. nFantasy's adjusted games lost metric, hemorrhaging points and pride. But rise from the ashes he has. Hutchinson's back, stronger, faster, declaring himself in a really good spot after dominating joint practices with the Dolphins, where he collapsed pockets and forced turnovers like a one-man apocalypse. At 6'7", 268 pounds, he's drawing Nick Bosa comparisons for his blend of power and technique. The additions: Brian Branch, the Alabama safety sensation from the second round, and Jack Campbell, the towering 6'5", 245-pound linebacker who's a debate-sparking first-rounder but an undeniable baller. This defense, once fragile, is now a top-6 contender. Per experts like Mina Kimes, the emotion, pure vengeance. Hutchinson's not just playing, he's hunting, ready to erase the playoff embarrassment where they couldn't touch Daniels. Doubters say they're still vulnerable. I say they're a ticking bomb of destruction. Fueling this defensive inferno, a new coordinator whose intensity could ignite or incinerate. Let's uncover the werewolf in the Lions' den. Enter Kelvin Shepard, the Lions' new defensive coordinator, a man Hutchinson calls intense, maybe a werewolf, vocal and unfiltered, commanding respect like a general in war. Promoted from linebackers coach, he's unleashing freedom on stars like Alex Anzalone and Jack Campbell, allowing on-the-fly adjustments that have vets raving. Goff himself praises the unit's communication as impressive. But the stakes? Sky-high controversy. With both coordinators gone, skeptics scream regression, painting Campbell as exposed without his safety net. Yet Shepard's passion is reshaping perceptions. During Dolphins practices, the defense disrupted drives, snagged turnovers, proving they're no pushovers. The drama unfolds in a unit that bled last year from injuries. Now healthy, they're poised to dominate. Imagine the shock if they falter. A total meltdown. But with Shepard's fire, this could be the spark that propels Detroit to glory, silencing haters who dare question Dan Campbell's monster-building mastery. As the defense sharpens its claws, whispers of a blockbuster edition swirl. Could a rival superstar join forces and create an unstoppable terror? Hold your breath, Lions fans. The rumor mill is ablaze with Micah Parsons potentially donning Honolulu blue. Hutchinson himself smirks at the idea. It'd be a dangerous combo, but I think he'll get his deal done. Parsons, the Cowboys' disgruntled phenom, paired with Hutchinson, it'd forge the NFL's deadliest pass rush duo, turning quarterbacks into prey. Last year's playoff debacle? No pressure on Daniels without Hutchinson. Imagine the devastation with both beasts hunting. But controversy brews. Is this wishful thinking, or a real threat to Dallas? Parsons' situation resolved or not, the mere thought sends shivers. Detroit's balanced roster, with $35 million in 2025 cap space but projected $31. 61M over in 2026, could swing it. The excitement? Electric. This duo could collapse dynasties. But the risk? A trade flop leading to roster ruin. Don't blink. This could redefine the NFC. While trade dreams tantalize, the Lions are locking in their core. Enter the hints of a massive extension that could secure their defensive anchor for years. In a move that screams long-term dominance, GM Brad Holmes drops bombs. Dialogues underway for Aiden Hutchinson's extension, locking up the superstar through 2026 and beyond via his fifth-year option. After his mind-blowing 2024 start, on pace for over 20 sacks before the leg snap, Hutchinson's camp dominance screams DPOY potential. The emotion? Pure pride in a homegrown hero who's stronger than ever. But the cap crunch looms. $31.61 million rupees over in 2026 projections mean tough choices ahead. Controversial? Some say overpaying risks, financial collapse, echoing past Lions' blunders. Yet, fans crave it. Hutchinson's the heart of this revival, propelling deep runs if healthy. The thrill? Watching him extend his reign, turning doubters into believers. With the pieces aligning, what does it all mean for 2025? Brace for bold visions of glory, or the peril of another heartbreaking fall. The stage is set for epic triumph or tragic collapse. The Lions enter 2025 as NFC North favorites at plus 170 odds, with Super Bowl whispers at plus 1000, ranking them among elites like the Bills, 10% FPI chance. Health is key. No more $90 million on IR, as Campbell quips. Hutchinson's vengeance, a healthier defense, Goff's MVP caliber, it's a recipe for hoisting the Lombardi in Santa Clara. But the shock? They open against Green Bay in a Week 1 war that could define the season. Mina Kimes nails it. Top 6 defense if healthy. The controversy. Are they trendy frauds, doomed by coordinator losses like the Eagles? Hell no. This is belief incarnate, talent exploding. Feel the rush. Detroit's not just competing, they're conquering. Will they dominate or degrade? You won't want to miss this saga unfold.